I want to bring in now CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller, former FBI Assistant Director Frank Figluzzi, and CNN Senior Law Enforcement Analyst, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. Welcome to all of you. John Miller, I'd like to start with you. This video, a remarkable change in tone and message. What do you read into it?
Well, the last video, which was very short and somber in tone and precise in wording, was directed specifically towards the kidnappers or those claiming to be the kidnappers who have been writing. This is to the public, and it contains messages which is, we believe she is still out there, and that she was taken and we don't know where she is. And we need your help, and this is the key. We need your help, even if you are far from Tucson. You know, everybody on the screen I worked in the FBI with at the same time. And, you know, we went through some of these kidnapping cases. And if you look at the Elizabeth Smart case, J.C. Dugard case, Stephen Stainer case, and Dugard happened while we were there, these are cases where the victims were taken far away from where they were kidnapped. What she's saying to us is, even if you're in Las Vegas or you're in Oklahoma or you're somewhere and you see something suspicious, there's been a long time since she was taken, could have traveled a long distance. Don't write that off, report it. And if you know something or you heard something or you have information about this, I think that the emotional appeal we're seeing is also meant to move somebody to come forward who might not want to.
Frank Figluzzi, I mean, to that point, in reference to some of these other types of cases that you worked on alongside John and others, what is she looking for that might crack it open? I mean, she seems to be asking for something that law enforcement can't give.
Or has not been able to produce so far, and that's my greatest fear, Casey, is that we're essentially moving back almost to square one here. Look, I think she's telling the public, you are probably going to solve this. And look, we've seen the crowdsourcing of crime solving throughout various kinds of crimes in the last couple of years. What might that mean for the average citizen? If you've got someone that's been acting suspicious and has largely disappeared in the sense that they're behind closed doors, they're usually out and about, but now they're not showing their face. They've got the door closed. There's been some unusual movements, maybe in the apartment above you. They need every possible lead. The FBI tip line is open, Pima County Sheriff's line is open. And what does that tell us? They've got virtually nothing so far. The other thing that I'm kind of sensing here, Casey, is that something has developed investigatively to cause the FBI to think maybe all of the negotiations, all of the messages they've been getting are not legitimate. And we're back to square one.
Yeah, Andy McCabe, that was exactly the question I was going to put to you. I mean, do you think that this message says that the ransom notes that we've been talking about, the ransom demands, that none of it actually is real and we are back to square one?
I think that this message is not the kind of message that you expect to hear from a family that is currently in active negotiations with a kidnapper to get their loved one back. And it's interesting when you compare it to the previous message, which was very much a direct appeal to whoever sent those messages to the television stations and TMZ. We will pay. We need her back. We want to be able to celebrate with her. This is very valuable. We understand that. This was an entirely different approach. This is, as John and Frank have said, an appeal direct to the public for additional leads. So it leads, I think there's a strong suggestion here that they have reached a decision with respect to these prior messages and the ransom demand, that it is not, I don't think they've ever engaged in a two-way communication, which as we get closer and closer to this deadline makes the whole thing look even more absurd. They've likely never gotten proof of life in that exchange, which again makes it almost impossible to make the decision to pay a ransom when you've not gotten proof of life. So yeah, I think all those things that were making a lot of us kind of suspicious of these messages all along seem to kind of be, that channel seems to be maybe coming to a halt at this point.
Yeah, I want to play a little bit of the message that we had from over the weekend, just to kind of underscore exactly what you all have been talking about, kind of the change in presentation and tone. Let's watch what Savannah said at the time she was talking to whoever sent this ransom note over the weekend. Take a look.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
So that, of course, is over the weekend, and the three of them are sitting together. She's clearly talking directly to who this person may be. Then now let's watch again the video that was just posted a few minutes ago on Instagram. Watch.
I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation.
I mean, John Miller, this underscores the conversation we have been having here, but you can really see the differences laid out there on the screen.
Well, you can. And I mean, I think that as they try to get to their decision about what to do with this ransom situation, whether those notes come from somebody who actually has her or had her. To go back to Frank Figluzzi's point, somewhere out there's somebody who has that guy across the street who saw him pull up with a van, and help an elderly lady out and, lead her through the front door or down to the basement or something, and is thinking, I'm in Kansas City. That can't have any connection to this. What she's really saying is we need everybody in the game here, because whether we go through with this part with these other people or not, we don't want everybody to stop looking.
Yeah, well, and Frank Figluzzi, I mean, what in terms of these tips that could potentially come in from, in response to this plea, given the experience so far, right, this ransom note that they've gotten that's come in to these TV stations, to TMZ, I mean, how does law enforcement sort through what might get generated from something like this?
By the time you're into the second week of a case like this, your folks who are fielding those leads now have a sense. I mean, there's morning briefings, there's night shift briefings. They've got a sense of what is going to work as a lead and what's not making sense. And they are triaged. But in something like this, it's all hands on deck, certainly in the Phoenix field office and all of FBI Arizona, but even throughout the country. So nothing's getting put in the trash can, but rather they do have certain instructions they're given. Hey, if you get something like this, you put it in the A pile. The other thing I'd note here is not only do we sense the frustration and even desperation, as Savannah said in her message, but that's being experienced in law enforcement right now as well. We're seeing a new era of kidnap and ransom. It has to do with things like Bitcoin, with anonymized emails, with a demand that you fill a digital wallet. All of that incredibly difficult to trace. It puts the bad guy in charge, and that's a new thing for law enforcement in crisis negotiations.
Andy McCabe, one other kind of question just about putting something like this out. Do you think that we should take the way she's presenting herself, the things she's saying, at absolutely face value? Would there be any reason, if they were in, for example, active negotiations with someone with the ransom, to put out a video like this that suggested that they were not?
No, I mean, short answer is no. I think if the investigative team and the family were fully invested in an ongoing negotiation with someone who thought had Nancy Guthrie, they would not be engaging with the public in this way. They'd be trying to tone things down on the public relations side and maintain as much kind of privacy and secrecy around what they're doing. I think, I try to caution people against like really trying to micro-interpret every statement embedded in one of these videos. But there are some very clear themes that you can easily pick up on and walk away with confidently, because these messages are very carefully crafted with the family. So you have like hostage negotiators and crisis communicators working very closely with the family to kind of get out there exactly what they're trying to say. Here it was, first of all, very clearly saying they believe their mother is still alive. She's dependent upon these hopes and the, people sending prayers and goodwill in her direction. To me, that's a little bit of a response to the last message, which I think a lot of people drew a more negative conclusion from. And then, of course, the second big message here is we need your help. We need your help. No matter where you are, no matter what you see, call it into the police and give us a push here in trying to figure out where our mother is, because we don't know where she is right now.